Psycho-Cybernetics, written by Maxwell Maltz, Chapter 1, The Self-Image, Your Key to a Better Life. How a plastic surgeon became interested in self-image psychology. Offhand, there would be little or no connection between surgery and psychology. Yet, it was the work of the plastic surgeon which first hinted at the existence of the self-image and raised certain questions which led to many important psychological knowledge. When I first began the practice of plastic surgery many years ago, I was amazed by the dramatic and sudden changes in character and personality which often resulted when a facial defect was corrected. Changing the physical image in many instances appeared to create an entirely new person. In case after case, the scalpel that I held in my hand became a magic wand that not only transformed the patient's appearance, but transformed his whole life. The shy and retiring became bold and courageous. A moronic, stupid boy changed into an alert, bright youngster who went on to become an executive with a prominent firm. A salesman who had lost his touch and his faith in himself became a model of self-confidence. And perhaps most startling of all was the habitual hardened criminal who changed almost overnight from an incorrigible who had never showed any desire to change into a model prisoner who wanted parole and went on to assume a responsible role in society. Some 20 years ago, I reported such cases in my book, New Faces, New Futures. Following its publication and similar articles in leading magazines, I was besieged with questions by criminologists, sociologists, and psychiatrists. They asked questions which I could not answer, but they did start me upon a search. Strangely enough, I learned as much, if not more, from my failures as from my successes. It was too easy to explain the successes. The boy with the two big ears, who had been told he had looked like a taxicab with both doors open. He had been ridiculed all his life, often cruelly. Association with playmates meant humiliation and pain. Why shouldn't he avoid such social contacts? Why shouldn't he become afraid of people and retire into himself? Terribly afraid to express himself in any way, it was no wonder he became known as a moron. When his ears were corrected, it would seem only natural that the cause of his embarrassment and humiliation had been removed, and that he should assume a normal role in life, which he did. Or consider the salesman who suffered a facial disfigurement as a result of an automobile accident. Each morning, when he shaved, he could see the horrible, disfiguring scar on his cheek, and the grotesque twist to his mouth. For the first time in his life, he became painfully self-conscious. He was ashamed of himself, and felt his appearance must be repulsive to others. The scar became an obsession with him. He was different from other people. He began to wonder what others were thinking of him. Soon his ego was even more mutilated than his face. He began to lose confidence in himself. He became bitter and hostile. Soon almost all his attention was directed toward himself, and his primary goal became the protection of his ego and the avoidance of situations which might bring humiliation. It is easy to understand how the correction of his facial disfigurement and the restoration of a normal face would overnight change this man's entire attitude and outlook, his feelings about himself, and result in greater success in his work. But what about the exceptions who didn't change? The Duchess, who all her life had been terribly shy and self-conscious because of a conscious lump in her nose. Although surgery gave her a classic nose and a face that was truly beautiful, she continued to act the part of the ugly duckling and the unwanted sister who could never bring herself to look at another human being in the eye. If the scalpel itself was magic, why did it not work on the Duchess? What about all the others who acquired new faces but went right on wearing the same old personality? Or explain the reaction of those people who insist that the surgery had made no difference whatsoever in their appearance? Every plastic surgeon has had this experience and has probably been as baffled by it as I was. No matter how drastic the change in appearance may be, there are certain patients who will insist that I look just the same as before, you didn't do a thing. Friends, even family, may scarcely recognize them, may become enthusiastic over their newly acquired beauty. Yet the patient herself insists that she can only see slight or no improvement, or in fact deny that any change at all has been made. Comparison of before and after photographs does little good, except possibly to arouse hostility. By some strange mental alchemy, the patient will rationalize. Of course, I can see that the hump is no longer in my nose, but my nose still looks just the same, or the scar may not show anymore, but it's still there.